Good day and welcome to you. My name is Max Atkins from the Connect for Climate program. We're coming to you live here from Viet Nam at the GEF Assembly on the Connect for Climate Facebook page. Join the discussion with hashtag GEFLive. We'll be digesting all the issues being discussed here at the GEF Assembly, looking into the global commons, the global environmental challenges, and how to address all of those. So it's my great pleasure now to engage in a discussion with Anna Wellenstein. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you, Max. It's great to be here.
So Anna is the Director for Social, Urban, Rural, and Resilience Global Practice at the WorldBank, where you address city-level action, but also all associated aspects of that. So maybe just to get started, what are the major challenges facing our cities today, and how do they link into the discussions taking place here at the GEF Assembly? How are cities part of the solution in addressing the global commons?
Absolutely. Thank you, Max. And I really appreciate the opportunity to be here and talk about a topic as important as cities. So what we see now is that over half of the world's population lives in cities, which is a big deal. And more importantly, it's growing. By 2050, they estimate that 68% of the population will be in cities. And importantly, most of that growth is coming in developing countries. So Asia and Africa are on the front lines of that urban growth. And that's a good thing. I think often in environmental fora we talk about the contamination and pollution of cities, but cities are really the engines of growth in many countries. Jobs grow there, economies grow there. So it's a good thing, but they have to urbanize in a way that's sustainable. And what we're seeing now is that's not always happening, especially in developing countries. We have about 1 billion people that are living in slums, and those are people without adequate housing, access to services, not good access to jobs. They tend to settle in areas that are more vulnerable to natural disasters and climate change because those are the cheapest areas to live in the floodplains and the landslide zones. So it's important what's happening. We need to make cities work better. In terms of the agenda here as well, cities are at the forefront of really changing the tide on climate change. So they consume about 2/3 of the world's energy and about the same level of emissions. And they also tend to be in areas that are very vulnerable to the effects of climate change. About 90% of cities are in coastal areas. So as those sea levels rise, those are very vulnerable areas. So cities are the future. That's what we say in my business. They also are pretty darn vulnerable and a pretty important part of making that future resilient and sustainable.
I mean, no doubt, with the growth of the cities, cities are the future. That's where all of us will find our space to live and our sustainable environment. So maybe just to bring the city solutions, so we know that they're contributing about 70% of greenhouse gases, and they're more vulnerable to more extreme weather events from climate change, and they're also a big source of the pollution. So the global commons are a network of environmental issues that the GEF is looking into here at the GEF Assembly. How do you link the cities to the global commons? What are the main interlinkages? And where do you find the greatest opportunities for action?
So I think there are a couple areas that are really important. How cities develop and how they settle are really important for the amount of emissions going forward. That footprint and how a city's laid out, how it grows, is one of the most fundamental drivers in what happens on emissions. And once that footprint is in place, the shape of the city, it's pretty darn hard to change. So that's there, and it's in concrete, literally. So really getting those cities up and in the right direction from the start is important. I'd like to share 3 big ideas that we'd like to talk about, if you don't mind. So I think it's important to think of the issues in cities, but also the opportunities. And so one of those really important opportunities is getting cities' finances right. So we're estimating currently that it will take about $5 trillion a year, that's a huge number, but $5 trillion a year to keep infrastructure where we're at today, just to keep up. And then if we want to make it low carbon and resilient, it's another 9 to 27%. Those are the rough numbers, but those are estimates. So that means that a lot needs to be done. Now, we really are proud of the impact we have at the World Bank and development assistance, but those numbers dwarf what all of us can do. And so getting cities financially and fiscally sound is of critical importance to help them begin to chip away at that challenge. So that's one. I'd like to talk a little bit as well about their role in climate and resilience. So we talked about the fact that the footprint they have is critical, but there's also a lot of risk out there for the poverty agenda that's so at the heart of the World Bank. So our latest estimates are that 77 million people in urban areas could be driven back into poverty due to the effects of climate change. So cities have a big role in really helping to advance the global agenda on climate change. It can't happen unless local leaders take action, and also getting ready on the resilience side to really try and not have that happen for those 77 million people that they have worked so hard for, and we in the international community have all supported their exit from poverty.
Yeah. So it's really encouraging cities to become financially viable and be leaders in addressing resilience and building the opportunities for the citizens and the businesses to get involved. So could you maybe just explore a little bit further this idea of creating the right enabling environment for businesses to be a part of the solution? How do we use the World Bank finances to maximize other finances, to encourage other actors to get involved and help build those solutions that are needed?
Absolutely. So we've got a couple things out there that I think are important. On the financing side, one of the phrases we always say is that before you go into financing, you need to have the basics right. You have to have the house in order before you can really go to markets. So we've spent a lot of time working with national governments on strong frameworks for financing of subnational governments. We spend a lot of time with mayors. Another initiative that we've started recently is called the City Resilience Program. We find that that big number that I gave before, the big scary one of $5 trillion a year plus a markup for resilience, it goes beyond us, beyond cities. It really needs to tap private markets to help finance all of that needs to be done. Now, we're finding that a lot of that money is out there, but what's not there are solid bankable projects. So we're working through the Cities Resilience Program now with over 30 cities worldwide to help them understand their challenges on resilience, identify solid investments, build them so they're bankable, and then connect them with private financiers. So we like to think that we're acting in this case as investment bankers to cities and really brokering private investment into resilience. One of the other programs I'd love to talk about is the Global Platform for Sustainable Cities. It's a partner program. It's funded by GEF. It's part of the GEF City Sustainability Program. We're here talking about it a lot in Da Nang. And that program really is about providing a venue for cities to share best practices and learn from each other, learn from what's going on in the world. And I think by getting them that capacity, that best practice, it really puts them in a better position to set their own future and draw on all the resources that are out there. We're very proud of what they're doing and just thrilled to be here.
And I think maybe we should also reframe that 5 trillion number value as the opportunity. That is going to be the new market. That is where new businesses, new technologies can build their future in. And that's how they will contribute to building a low-carbon resilient future. So maybe just a message now for a younger audience. How can they be a part of engaging in this new climate economy, this economy that will build low-carbon resilient cities? How can they bring their technologies on board? How can they be the entrepreneurs who can help tap into that $5 trillion market?
Fantastic. So absolutely. So if we're saying that cities are the future, at the heart of that are our youth, and that they are really what's coming. And as I go to countries, as I'm here in Viet Nam, as I visit other places, I'm always super motivated when I get a chance to go out and talk to youth. I really find their ambition, their creativity, the fresh way they look at the issues, their own desires are so critical, not only for inspiring us, but make sure that what we do is in line with what they want. And what we do today is not the youthful, is in line with what the youth want to have in the future, the world that they want to create. So I think it's super important, their role. And there are many creative ways that they can engage. For example, last year we ran a program on photography of sustainable cities. And we had entries from youth all over the world, and they were truly inspirational. One, to see their vision, and also to inspire action. So there's lots of ways at different points in their lives they can get involved, and I would encourage them to do it. So we offer a lot of information and insight about what's happening in cities and sustainability and resilience. Please draw on that talk about it with your peers, and then bring forward your ideas. Follow us. I'll do a pitch on Twitter. We're WBG Cities. Follow us on the World Bank blog series at the World Bank website, but do get involved, because we're here. We're trying to help shepherd a positive future, resilient, inclusive, sustainable, but the future is really there, so they need to help shape it.
No, and with that, thank you so very much for being here with us. What an inspirational message for young people to get involved in the city's agenda to build those low carbon resilient cities. We've heard it's a big challenge, but actually that is the biggest opportunity to be a part of this new future. Thank you for being with us.
Thank you very much.
We've been live on the Connect for Climate Facebook page here at the GEF Assembly with the hashtag GEF Live. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Max.